You walk into the room with your best idea. You explain it clearly, but their eyes glaze over. They nod politely, but they move on. The painful truth is that it's not your ideas, it's about how you're articulating them. There is a specific framework that separates leaders who get heard from those who get ignored. It's called the GPS method. 3 simple techniques, take 7 days to master it, but I can promise you that by the end of this video, you'll have the exact system that I use with executives who went from being talked over to commanding boardrooms, from pitches being rejected to amazing approvals, from great ideas but to when can we start. Let me show you how this works. Here is the problem. Nobody cares how smart you are if you cannot articulate your points. There are 3 fatal mistakes a lot of people make in their communication that stops them from being an effective communicator. Number 1, they explain the thought process instead of the conclusion. Number 2, using words that make sense to them but not to the audience. And number 3, they forget. Because understand this, confused people don't say yes, they say nothing. So let's fix that with the first method. Method number 1 is what I call the headline technique. The headline technique. Here you say your ending first and then you explain. Like the analogy I can give is like, imagine a newspaper. In the newspaper, there is a headline first and the details later on, right? Most people do the opposite, and that's why they lose the attention. The technique is very simple. When you're speaking to people, state the conclusion in one clear sentence before you explain. Give the destination first and then the direction. I'm going to give you an example so you understand that. Here is a bad example. All right, we're talking about a bad example right now. The bad example is this. We analyzed Q4 data concerning trends in customer retention, SMB segments issues. We might need to reconsider approach, blah, 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 blah. Bad. Good is this. We need to pivot Q4 strategy to retention over acquisition. Here is why. That's a good one. So action step for you is this. In the next meeting, write conclusion in one sentence and say that first. Then add 2-3 supporting points and watch how much more attention you command. Remember this. Headline technique is not a fancy part, it's the foundation. Method number 2 is what I call the bridge technique. Connect your idea to something they already believe. Here's a big mistake a lot of people make, and that is leaders start from their understanding and they think, oh, I understand it, so everybody else will understand. Not true. Assume that everybody has same background and that's a mistake. They don't, right? So the technique is before introducing the new idea, connect to something that the audience already understands. The formula is this. You know how dash, this is like that except dash. So you know how in the first dash, you insert what the thing that they believe. And then you say this is like dash except the dash. In the second dash, you talk about your new idea. I'm going to give you some examples so you understand that completely. Let's say client needed to pitch AI to tech-resistant leadership. Average people will say like this, integrate AI into the workflow system to improve efficiency, metrics. Crickets at AI. Nobody's paying attention if you speak like this. But using the bridge principle, you say, you know how we hired Sarah for data entry and freed team for client relationships? Well, AI does the same thing. It handles repetitive tasks. Your team focuses on human judgment. And that's exactly what it is. AI is like Sarah, but Pro Max version in terms of technologies. Here is how this works for us. Boom. Everybody's going to agree with it because the brain resists new information, but brain loves patterns. Bridging equals not learning something new, it's recognizing trusted patterns. So the homework I have for you is identify one idea that you struggle to explain. It can be a technological idea, management idea, whatever you struggle to explain, and write 3 things that your audience already believes. And complete this statement that you see on the screen again. You know how in the first dash you write the familiar thing. It's just like dash, except dash. Practice out loud 5 times and the 6th time it's going to flow flawlessly. Remember, best leaders make smart ideas feel obvious to everybody else. Method number 3, the pause and anchor technique. Here you use silence to create emphasis to really connect with people. Most leaders are terrified of silence. They think pausing equals uncertain. Not true. Here, you might have seen many times people use a lot of ahs and ums. Well, you fill gaps with ahs and ums and you know, and many times people keep talking constantly. The secret is you use strategic silence. Strategic silence is the most powerful tool. Here, let me give you a demonstration. Without pause, you can say, I think we should move forward with this initiative because it aligns with our goals and it will help achieve results and improve the team performance across the board. But with pause and anchor, you say, I recommend we move forward. And here is why. Because it impacts 3 core goals: revenue, efficiency, retention. And each matters. And here is why. You see that? When I'm giving these pauses, they become powerful. So the technique is this: identify the anchors. Audience must remember, say your anchor, pause for 2-3 seconds, and then continue to the next point. All right? Makes sense to you? Real example, director pitching for budget. Originally, you can go for a 3-minute run on sentence, but nobody remembers that. Restructured with anchors, you can say, I'm requesting $200,000, pause. That's 40% less than last year, pause. Projected $800,000 savings by Q3, pause. And here is the breakdown. Then you break it down. You get approved in 5 minutes, and the reason it works is because brain needs processing time. You might have seen that sometimes when you're feeding a child, for example. When you're feeding a child, what happens is that you need to give the child some time to eat, right? To eat the food that you have already given in their mouth. But if you constantly give, just like a caring mother, constantly give the food, the problem is that the child does not have the time to process that food at all. So this is the same thing, but in your speaking. Anytime you pause, it gives the audience an idea that this is important. Because when you combine, by the way, body language during pause, you make eye contact, you shift your weight side, slightly, you use subtle hand gestures. Now the pause becomes a physical anchor. It's not just auditory. So here's the practice drill. Record yourself explaining something for 60 seconds. Count your filler words and do it again. And replace your ahs and ums with 2-second pauses. Beginning it will feel weird, but if you watch the recording, and it will make you 100 times more confident. Remember, leaders who master the pause technique sound more authoritative because they yield silence as a weapon. So I've given you 3 techniques. Let's quickly talk about the GPS method. Number 1, headlining technique. This is where you're concluding first and explaining later. Number 2, bridging technique. You connect new ideas to existing beliefs. And number 3, the pause and anchor technique. This is where you're using strategic silence to emphasize and process. Not theory, but these are battle-tested tools that I've taught to VPs and directors and executives who went from being talked over to commanding the room. So I promised you at the start that I'm going to give you 3 techniques to change your communication. Have I kept my promise? Yes. These 3 techniques will teach you how executives go from ignored to influential, and now you know the complete GPS method. The same framework that gets, great approvals in boardrooms. So I have a 7-day action plan right now. Make sure you pay attention to this. Here's the 7-day action plan. Day 1 to 2, headlining technique. Write 1-sentence conclusion first. Day 3 to 5, use the bridging technique. Find 3 analogies for complex ideas. Day 6 to 7, pause, record yourself, replace fillers with 2-second pauses. So I can assure you of this. If you do this consistently, within 2 weeks, people will comment on your clarity and confidence. And that is transformation. I promised you to teach you this, and I taught you this today. And that's what you're walking away today with. If you really want to change your communication in terms of in your boardroom, executive meetings, high-stake negotiation, I'm doing a special masterclass very soon. There is a link in the description, in the pinned comment. Click there so you understand exactly how it works, because we're going to change everything for yourself. And if you want to comment which technique you're implementing first, by the way, I read every single one. So remember, I'm doing a special masterclass called Speak Like a CEO Masterclass, where I'm going to be showing you how to speak with confidence, power, clarity, spontaneous speaking, vocabulary. We're going to talk about all of that. That can be a game changer for you. And if that's exactly what you're looking for, click the link below and join the webinar. And I'll see you on the next video. Go practice, watch your influence explode. Bishal Sarkar here, reminding you that public speaking is not about perfection, it's all about connection. We just finished the first session of Speakathon Implementation Bootcamp, and I want to ask a simple question to all of you. How many of you had massive progress in the first session today?
No! Massive progress.
And today's session we did for the last 6 hours, was it just theory or did each one of you receive customized feedback? Which one?
Customized feedback.
Now, I know many of you have been facing many challenges in your confidence and connection, but after just the first session, and this is just the first session, my question to you is, are you now ready to speak with confidence, power, and connection? Is that a no or is that a yes?
Yes.
Awesome. This is Bishal Sarkar. Together we're going to finish this. Remember that public speaking is not about perfection. It's all about
connection.
Connection.
awesome.